So I think we might be able to mine the next Bitcoin on rented GPUs. I'm over here looking into BitTensor. The chat has convinced me on it. They said it's like a six-figure play, maybe. I don't know. I don't know anything. Actually, I know a little bit about it now. And what got me excited is that we might be able to use rented GPUs and use our machine learning knowledge in order to get an edge on BitTensor. Now, someone said that BitTensor is, in their eyes, the next Bitcoin with all the developer activity that's going on. Now, of course, he's very, very biased as he is trading it, dude, or he's mining it. He says to me, it's the next Bitcoin after watching the devs. Now, obviously, there's only a tiny, tiny, tiny percent chance there. Tiny percent chance, and there's never going to be another Bitcoin. But I get what he's saying, and I understand his bias. Danny says directional risk for sure, but no risk, no Rari. Oh my god! Because I was wondering, is this going to be like a something that you mine like Bitcoin at $2, right? And I'm sure a ton of people mined Bitcoin $2 on rented GPUs and then just paid off those GPUs with their profits. That's a big L when they could have been directional on it and kept those $2 Bitcoins and held it to whatever it's at now, dude. If you were a little directional with the mining. So I was curious, is it an arbitrage right now? Or do you have to be directional? Danny says directional risk for sure. No risk, no Rari, though. Maddie says there's a limited supply. It could be huge in the future, in my opinion. He's also the one that said after watching the devs, he thinks it's the next Bitcoin. This is the actual white paper here. We read through some Reddits, but it's very, very. You can Google BitTensor Reddit mining. There's very little information about that. We were just talking about how there is an edge in crypto when it's hard to do things. Because while crypto people are smart, ambitious, sometimes lazy, and don't want to go to new chains or set things up or don't know how to code, we know how to code. We got AI. We're the only ones that can use AI, dude. We're the only ones that get benefit. King Alfred says, looks like the token is trading between 250 and 700. I haven't even looked at the token too much. Let's look at it. I looked at it briefly. So what is this? The highs were December 6th, 2024, and it is down 50%. Okay. So the lows are here in 24 as well. Oh, it's new? No, probably new on Binance, right? So the lows here are 200. It sounds like there's directional risk here. So it'd be one of those plays of, hey, if this actually is something in the future. I've heard people down here talk about it in PR, so I've just faded it entirely because Solana has all the volume right now. At least this last 18 months or so, it's had all the volume. So I think today I'm going to give it a fair shot because I've seen every single.
We must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Every single arbitrage, every single narrative, every single thing that has popped off in the last year or two has come through this chat early, very, very early. You got to follow the devs. And what are we? We're data dogs. So I got it when somebody says to me it's the next Bitcoin. I don't know Maddie at all. But when somebody says that, I wanna look into that bias. You know? I got time. That's one thing I do have is time and the ability to code forever. And I love this game. Let's see what else others have said. Love your inspiring vibes, Moondev. Thank you. It's its own chain. So that's I was looking up on Bird Eye over here, like Tau, BitTensor, but it's its own chain, dude. So let's close all these tabs. We were exploring BSC earlier today. over here reaching, trying to figure out if there's
Hi
any
there, Doug from
rotation.
Towstat.
Here's a couple of
Hey,
videos
this is Travis.
I want to watch here. Maybe we could start with these videos, these 5-minute videos here, and then dive into the white paper because then we'll understand the white paper better. So let's do that.
One of the most frequently asked questions is, how do I start mining on the BitTensor network? And the answer is a kind of an interesting one. It's very different than most other.
There's a tweet about subnet on Tau that uses 30 to 40% of the whole LLM mind share. It's either DeepSeek or OpenAI. Ask AI to read the white paper. I'm just gonna read the white paper. I ain't got time to read it yet, so I asked AI to summarize it real quick. Nice, dude. Yes, it's still early mining days for Tau. We'll see. I do want to see when was it launched because I see it Binance not that long ago. So it's called Tau here, BitTensor. Oh man, it's 7 billion market cap. Okay, so it's been around since back here in 2023. Okay, a couple years. Couple years late, Moon. Don't worry about it. Just a couple years late. Just a couple years.
Blockchains is that you don't actually mine on BitTensor. The mining is done on the various subnets. And this image of a miner is actually created in subnet 19 by a miner. There are 32 subnets on BitTensor network. Each subnet is working on a machine learning problem or creating a digital commodity. As a result, they're all very, very different, and they all have very different requirements and different code for mining. So you don't actually, that's why I say you don't mine on BitTensor, you're actually mining on the subnets. Each one of the subnets has space for about 200 to 220 miners. That means that mining is also a competition. And if your miner has the lowest active key for a subnet, you're going to be deregistered when a new miner registers. So it's important to realize that not only is mining challenging in that you have to pick your subnet and then become an expert in that subnet, but it's also a competition against all the other miners. The way you pick which subnet to mine on is by doing some research. And at Towstats in our documentation, you can see a listing of all of the subnets. And for each one of the subnets, we'll have a link to the GitHub and a link to the hardware requirements for mining and validating on that subnet. The GitHub generally has a very good README that describes the steps that you need to do. It tells you a little bit about what the subnet is doing. And then it may also have links to other documentation so that to help you get started understanding what the subnet does and how the subnet works and how you can mine on that subnet. The min compute YAML generally has the hardware requirements, so you can see how many CPUs, whether it needs a GPU or a CPU, how much memory, what OS, et cetera, how much storage you need. Another way to do some of this research is to get into the BitTensor Discord. You can see each one of the subnets has a channel. You can see when I took this screenshot, there was actually a release for subnet 1. So as you read through these messages, you can get some hints, some tricks. You can read about mining, where people are struggling. And then you can also look up at the pinned messages. That's generally where you will find the release notes, where you will find changes and things that the mods for this, the subnet owners have decided to share and have made important, so they'll pin them to the channel.
Yo, why I got such ghetto internet out here, dude? 480? Why would you ever default me to that?
Another way to learn about the subnet is to go to Towstats.